Magandang araw, and welcome to the use of installation arts in teaching genetic concepts, a research presented to you by yours truly, Saturnino L. Macasinag Jr., a biology teacher from Ligao National High School. Arts and science are two interesting disciplines, and combining arts with STEM education will give us STEAM. Based on Republic Act 10533, the curriculum shall be flexible, enabling teachers like us to create innovative strategies for teaching and learning process. Based on the conceptual framework of science education, this allows us to think, develop, and innovate for effective learning to happen. This is the combination of genetic concepts and arts, which is, in this research, we will be utilizing installation arts. According to Whitered and Bishop, a style of visual art that uses three-dimensional object that usually meant to change the perception of a space, the viewer physically enters and often described as theatrical, immersed, or experiential, is basically an installation arts. In 2018, I was able to visit an installation arts at Scottsdale, Arizona. Therefore, during the conduct of research, I considered that experience in order to cater the needs of my students, combining science and arts. This research has three objectives. The first is to develop lessons in genetics using installation arts for the senior high school with art integration, collaborative learning, representation of concepts, and inquiry base as salient features. The second is to create tangible physical representations of concepts. And the third is to identify the effects of these lessons to conceptual understanding, development of 21st century skills, and science related attitudes of the students. This research utilized the following theories for the development of new and meaningful ideas and experiences. The respondents in this research are the 3811 STEM 2 students of Ligao National High School. I utilized pre-experimental one-group pretest post-test design. The methodologies are as follows: lesson plans and research instruments validation phase, conduct of pretest and pre-surveys, lesson plans implementation phase, installation arts making and representation, conduct of post-test and post-surveys, and finally, the analysis and data interpretation. The results of the discussions are as follows. For the first problem, the development of lessons using installation arts, there were three lessons developed, namely non-Mendelian mode of inheritance, sex-related inheritance, and DNA replication, with the following features: arts integration, collaborative learning, representation of concepts, and inquiry-based learning. For the sub-problem number 2, what are the tangible physical representations of the students? The students were able to create 10 installation arts under lesson 1, 2, and 3. Let me highlight the following installation arts in this presentation. The first is the incomplete dominance. This is rated 34 or advanced level in terms of installation arts making. The students utilize gray papers to make three different colors of flowers, which are white, red, and pink is the incomplete dominance. The second is the X inactivation. They call this installation as cat on the wall. Students represents the codominant features of the calico cats, which exhibits two shades of colors. The third is the multiple alleles, ABO blood groups. They call this installation as blood symphony, wherein the students utilized colored plastic strings to represent the different types of blood, namely blood type A, which is the red one, blood type B, which is the blue string, and blood type AB, which is a combination of red and blue, and blood type O, which is white. The fourth is one of my favorites, the multiple alleles or the ABO blood compatibility chart. This is named as live connection. The students artistically and correctly conveyed the concept of blood transfusion in this installation. The fifth is the sex limited trait. They call this color mate, wherein the student's representation of the sex-limited traits produce characteristics that are only expressed in one of the sexes. The sixth is the installation called hairless top. This is under the topic sex influence traits, pattern baldness, wherein the students conveyed their idea about the sex influence traits by means of creating a head strap sculpture using paper tapes, yarns, and wires accented with aerial head decorations. The sixth is the X-linked traits, hemophilia. They call it blood ticking. This installation art, blood ticking, depicts hemophilia as an X-linked recessive disorder. The eighth is the Y-linked traits, hypertrichosis spinae oris, or they call it hair being, wherein this is a disorder in the Y chromosome that contains excessive growth of hair in the helix of the ear. The ninth is also another favorite, the X-linked trait or colored blindness. They call it spectra, wherein the students utilize yarns to represent the color of the rainbow. During the presentation, they gave the evaluators and classmates improvised glasses to filter the colors in the spectra depicting the color of a colorblind. Presented on the left screen is their plan, and on the right part of the screen is the actual installations prepared by the students. The last but not the least is the DNA replication, wherein the students were able to create the so-called genetic tree of life to represent concepts of DNA replication. This is supplemented by narratives from the journal of the students. I would like to highlight, according to one of the respondents, I realized that arts can really make everything fun and enjoyable. At first, I really haven't fully understand the lesson about genetics, but when we have done the art installation, I understand the concept in a simple manner through interactive learning. In terms of the results and discussion under the effects, in terms of conceptual understanding, it gained a highly significant effect after the result and analysis of the pre-test and post-test under the p-value of 0.00 and under the confidence level of 0.05. This is again supplemented by the narratives of the students presented on the screen. In terms of the effect to the 21st century learning skills, it gained highly significant effect in the 4 C's after the result and analysis of the pretest and post survey under the critical value of negative 1.645 under the confidence level of 0.05. This is again supplemented by the narrative as well as journal of the students. Last but not the least, in terms of the science-related attitudes, it gained using TOSRA as the tool and the effect size. Under attitude to specific inquiry, it gained a medium effect. Adoption of scientific attitudes and enjoyment of science lessons, it gained large effect. This is again supplemented by the journals presented on your screen. In conclusion, there are 3 lessons in genetics that can be done using installation arts, like the non-Mendelian mode of inheritance, sex-related inheritance, DNA replication, with the following salient features. And students can make tangible physical representation of concepts in genetics using installation arts, which are competency-based. Third, lessons using installation arts can develop students' conceptual understanding, 21st century learning skills, and positive attitude towards science. And finally, installation arts can be used as a teaching strategy of science teachers to develop students' creativity and artistry. Here are some of the pictures taken before, during, and after the presentation of the students of their installation arts. These installation arts were also exhibited during the Science and Technology Week celebration in 2018. In my recommendation, I listed five, but I would like to highlight the third one, which is to have a separate room in the school which should hold the students' installation arts for display, since our school as well as our province is prone to different weather disturbances. This is the result of my research, which combines genetics or science understanding plus arts. Here are the references utilized in this research. Again, thank you very much for your attention and for giving your time in my presentation. This is the use of installation arts in teaching genetic concepts in the senior high school. Diyos mabalus po.